Nobody laughed when the Krell warrior ripped the combat dummy in half. Nobody laughed when the Torvan recruit dissolved a metal target with acid spit. But when Dara Okonkwo asked if she could take notes on the local plant life, 40 aliens burst into clicking, hissing, roaring laughter. She did not react. She simply wrote in her small notebook and waited for them to finish. The recruitment shuttle had brought 42 soldiers from 17 species to Training Station Omega-7. This was the Galactic Coalition's Deathworld survival program, where only the strongest lived long enough to graduate. Every recruit here had killed. Every recruit here had survived impossible odds on their home worlds, except two. Draconkwo was a food scientist from Lagos, Nigeria. She had spent 15 years studying how to make dangerous things safe to eat. She had no combat training. Her threat response, according to the machines, was curiosity. When shown images of deadly predators, her heart rate actually slowed down. The evaluators thought their equipment was broken. Finn Halloran was a translator from Dublin, Ireland. He spoke 47 languages and could learn a new one in 3 days. He was also terrified of blood, loud noises, and anything with more than 4 legs. During the combat simulation, he had fainted, not from injury, from stress. Instructor Gorvas stood 7 feet tall, covered in gray scales, with teeth designed for tearing flesh. He had trained soldiers for 60 years. He had never seen recruits this pathetic. "You too," he said, pointing at the humans with a claw the size of a knife, "have been pre-flagged for terminal washout. This means we expect you to die. We are only required to give you the chance to prove us wrong. You will not." A massive Krell warrior named Vorsh stepped forward. His species came from a world with triple Earth's gravity. They were living tanks. Why waste resources on prey? Vorsh asked. Send them home. Let them breed more weaklings for their weak little planet. More laughter. Finn looked like he might vomit. His hands were shaking. Dara reached over and gently touched his arm. "Breathe," she said quietly. "They want you scared. Do not give them that." "I am scared," he whispered. "Good. Fear keeps you careful. Stupidity gets you killed. Look around. How many of them look careful?" Finn looked. The aliens were flexing, growling, showing off scars. They were competing to seem the most dangerous. None of them were watching. None of them were thinking. Dara was watching everything. "You two will be partners," Gorvas announced. "Since neither of you has any useful skills, you can die together. Your first assignment is Carrion 4. The room went quiet. Even Vorsh stopped smiling. Carrion 4 was nicknamed the Digester. It was a world where the ecosystem actively dissolved organic matter. The rain was acid. The plants were acid. The air itself could burn lungs. Teams went in with heavy armor and military weapons. Many did not come back. "That is a death sentence," one of the Torvan recruits said. "Even for us." "Then they should have been better soldiers," Gorvas replied. "Departure is in 1 hour. Collect your equipment." The other recruits filed out to gather weapons, armor, and survival gear. Dara walked to the equipment station and selected a small cooking kit. A portable stove. Some containers. Basic tools. The supply officer stared at her. "You want cooking equipment?" "For Carrion 4. "Yes. Not weapons. I do not know how to use weapons. I know how to use this." "You will die in the first hour." "Perhaps." Dara packed her kit carefully. "But I will die prepared." Finn approached her, still pale and shaky. He carried only his translation tablet, a device that could analyze and decode any language. "What is your plan?" he asked. "Please tell me you have a plan." "I have questions," Dara said. "Plans come from answers." "First question, can you read the alien script on our assignment tablet?" Finn looked at the tablet. The writing was in an ancient coalition language, dense with technical terms. His eyes moved rapidly across the text, processing. "Yes, it says Carrion 4's ecosystem is based on a symbiotic relationship between acidic fungi and larger predators. The fungi break down organic matter. The predators spread the fungi to new feeding grounds. Everything on the planet is part of this cycle." "Interesting." Dara made a note. "So the acid is biological. Organic. Does that help us?" "Anything organic can be processed. Anything processed can be made safe." She closed her notebook. I have spent my life making dangerous things edible. Poisonous fish, toxic plants, contaminated water. This planet wants to digest us, so we must learn to digest it first. Finn stared at her. You want to eat the death world? I want to understand it. Eating is just how I learn. An announcement rang through the station. Departure in 30 minutes. Dara picked up her cooking kit. Finn picked up his tablet. Together, they walked toward the shuttle bay, past dozens of armored warriors carrying enough firepower to level a city. Vorsh watched them go. Dead before sunset, he said. Behind him, a young Torvin named Brix tilted their head. They were insectoid, with compound eyes that could see in multiple spectrums. They had noticed something the others had not. The human female was not afraid. She was not pretending to be brave. She was genuinely calm. Her heart rate was steady. Her movements were controlled. She walked like someone who knew exactly what she was doing. Brick said nothing, but they decided to watch what happened next. The drop pod hit the surface of Carrion 4 like a bullet through rotten fruit. Dara felt the impact shake through her bones, then silence. Outside the small window, green mist swirled against glass that was already starting to fog from chemical erosion. The atmosphere is corrosive, Finn said, reading his tablet with trembling hands. We have maybe 6 hours before our basic suits fail. The elite teams have military-grade armor. We have this. Their suits were standard issue. Thin, cheap, meant for cargo workers, not death world survivors. Dara opened the pod door. The smell hit her first. Sulfur and rot, and something sweet underneath, like overripe fruit left in the sun. The ground was covered in a thick layer of gray-green fungus that pulsed slightly, like breathing skin. Every few seconds, drops of liquid fell from the strange, twisted trees above. Where the drops landed, the fungus hissed and bubbled. Acid rain, Finn whispered. We need to find shelter. No. Dara stepped out onto the fungal carpet. It squished under her boots, but did not burn through. We need to find food. Food. We're going to dissolve in 6 hours, and you want to cook. I want to survive. Survival requires understanding. Understanding requires samples. She knelt down and carefully scraped some of the gray-green fungus into a container. This is what produces the acid. If I can understand how it works, I can find a way to neutralize it. Finn looked around desperately. In the distance, he could hear screams. Other teams were already encountering the planet's wildlife. Gunfire echoed through the mist, followed by more screaming. The predators are hunting, he said. Then we should not act like prey. Dara continued collecting samples, calm as a scientist in a laboratory. Tell me what your tablet says about the rain patterns. Finn forced himself to focus. His hands were shaking so badly he almost dropped the device. But when his eyes found the data, something shifted in his brain. Patterns. He was good at patterns. The rain is not random, he said slowly. It follows movement. The acid concentrations are higher in areas where creatures have recently traveled. The fungi are tracking something. They're tracking prey. Dara nodded. The fungi produce acid in response to organic movement. More acid. The predators have learned to use this. They wait for the fungi to weaken their targets, then they attack. So if we stay still, then we become invisible. But we cannot stay still forever. We need a better solution. She set up her small cooking station right there on the fungal ground. Finn watched in disbelief as she lit her portable stove and began heating the sample she had collected. What are you doing? Testing. She added water from her canteen, watched it bubble and hiss, then added a powder from her kit. This is sodium bicarbonate. Baking soda, one of the oldest neutralizing agents humans know. If this fungus produces acid, then a base should the bubbling stopped. The sample in her container turned from gray-green to a dull brown. It no longer hissed. It no longer pulsed. Finn stared. You killed it. I neutralized it. Dara picked up the sample, sniffed it carefully, then took a tiny bite. What are you doing? Are you insane? She chewed slowly, thinking. Earthy. Slightly bitter. The texture is wrong, but that is just moisture content. If I dry it properly and add salt. She swallowed. Edible. Barely, but edible. You just ate death world fungus. I ate processed Deathworld fungus. There's a difference. She began preparing more samples. Help me gather enough for tonight. If I am right, this will save our lives. Finn wanted to argue. He wanted to run, to hide, to find some safe corner and wait for rescue. But there was no rescue coming. There was no safe corner. There was only this strange, calm woman who ate poison and asked for seconds. He started gathering fungus that by nightfall. Dara had processed enough neutralized fungi to create a thick paste. She spread it on their suits, on their equipment, on every exposed surface. The smell was terrible, like wet soil and vinegar mixed together. We smell like the forest floor now, she explained. To the fungi, we are already processed, already digested. We are not prey. We are waste. A sound came from the darkness. Heavy footsteps, deep breathing. Something massive was approaching through the mist. Finn grabbed Dara's arm. We need to run. No. Stay still. Stay calm. The predator emerged from a fog. It was enormous, easily 15 feet long, with a body like a lizard and a head like a flower of teeth. Its skin glistened with acid-resistant mucus. This was a digester, the apex predator of Carrion 4. It had killed 12 trainees in the past week alone. IT walked directly toward them. Finn stopped breathing. His heart was pounding so loud he was certain the creature could hear it. Beside him, Dara continued stirring her cooking pot as if nothing was happening. The digester reached them. It lowered its massive head and sniffed. Its breath smelled like acid and rotting meat. It sniffed again, confused. Then it turned and walked away. Finn collapsed to his knees. Ow, what? We smell like digested fungus, Dara said. To that creature, we are already processed. We are not food. We are just part of the environment. That should not have worked. Many things that should not work, work. That is the difference between theory and practice. She handed him a bowl of the processed fungus. Eat. You need strength for tomorrow. Finn looked at the gray-brown paste. It smelled like dirt. It looked like something scraped from the bottom of a swamp. He ate it anyway. Somewhere in the distance, they heard Vorsh's team fighting for their lives. Gunfire. Explosions. Screams. Dara and Finn sat in the darkness, surrounded by death, eating dinner. 3 days on Carrion 4, and Dara had started to enjoy herself. This worried Finn more than the monsters. You are humming, he said, watching her collect samples from a bubbling pool of acid. Why are you humming? Normal people do not hum on Deathworlds. This pool contains a bacteria I have never seen before. It eats metal. I want to know if I can eat it. That is not a normal thought. I am not a normal person. She sealed her sample container and smiled. Neither are you. Normal people cannot learn languages by listening to animal sounds for 10 minutes. Finn had discovered that talent yesterday. The small creatures of Carrion 4 communicated through chemical signals and vibrations. His brain had started recognizing patterns, predicting their movements, understanding their warnings. It was not quite language, but it was close enough. The ground crawlers are agitated, he said now. Something is coming. Something big. An announcement crackled through their communication devices. Instructor Gorviz's voice, cold and satisfied. Attention all teams. Today's challenge, survive an encounter with a moss serpent. These creatures are considered unkillable. Standard protocol is to flee. Teams will be scored on how long they survive. Good luck. Finn felt his stomach drop. He had read about moss serpents in the briefing files. 60 feet long. Armored scales that could stop plasma fire. Venom that dissolved bone. No trainee had ever killed one. Most trainees who encountered one did not survive. Their communication device crackled again. Team Washout, you have been assigned to Sector 7. Highest serpent activity on the planet. Report to coordinates now. He is trying to kill us, Finn said. Yes. Dara packed her samples and stood up. Let us go disappoint him. Sector 7 was a nightmare landscape of twisted rock and steaming vents. The ground was covered in thick mud that bubbled with toxic gases. Strange lights flickered beneath the surface, bioluminescence from creatures that lived in the poisonous depths. The serpent follows vibration and heat, Finn said, reading the patterns in the small creature's behavior. It is coming from the east, maybe 20 minutes away. Then we have 20 minutes to prepare. Dara knelt by one of the bubbling mud pools. These lights, these are the grubs the serpent eats. Help me collect them. The grubs are lethally toxic. Their venom can kill a krell in seconds. Yes, that is what makes them interesting. They worked quickly, using long sticks to scoop the glowing grubs from the mud. The creatures were about the size of Finn's hand, soft-bodied and pulsing with blue light. Each one contained enough venom to kill a dozen humans. Dara examined one carefully. The venom is a protein. Proteins break down with heat. If I cook this at the right temperature for the right time, you cannot be serious. I'm always serious about food. She set up her cooking station while Finn kept watch, tracking the serpent's approach through the behavior of smaller creatures. The ground was starting to shake. The beast was close. Dara worked with steady hands. She cleaned the grub, removed the venom sacs, and began heating the flesh over her portable stove. The smell was strange, like seafood and flowers mixed together. She cooked it for exactly 12 minutes, tested it with her chemical kit, then took a bite. Finn held his breath. Sweet, Dara said, almost like honey, a little chewy, but safe. The ground shook harder. Trees fell in the distance. The moss serpent emerged from the fog, and Finn understood why they were called unkillable. That it was not just big. It was a mountain made of muscle and armor. Its scales were black as space, reflecting the dim light like oil on water. Its head was a nightmare of teeth and sensory organs, designed to find prey anywhere, in any condition. Its eyes locked onto them. Do not run, Dara said calmly. Eat this. She handed Finn a piece of the cooked grub. He shoved it in his mouth without thinking, too terrified to argue. The serpent approached. Its tongue flickered, tasting the air. It could sense their heat, their heartbeats, their fear. It moved closer, close enough that Finn could see his reflection in its scales. Then it stopped. Its tongue flickered again. Confusion rippled across its massive face. These creatures tasted wrong. They smelled like processed grubs. They smelled like something that was already part of the ecosystem, not prey. The serpent lowered its head and made a sound, low and rumbling. Then it turned, slithered to a nearby mud pool, and scooped out several grubs with its tongue. It deposited them on the ground in front of Dara. Then it left. Finn's legs gave out. He sat in the mud, staring at the pile of deadly grubs the serpent had left behind. It brought us food, he whispered. The unkillable monster brought us food. We smell like a cleaner species now, Dara explained, already collecting the grubs. In nature, some creatures process waste that others cannot digest. The serpent thinks we are useful. It is feeding us, so we will stay nearby and keep processing. That is insane. That is ecology. She smiled. Now help me cook these. We have enough protein here for a week. Hidden in the rocks above, Brix watched everything. The young Torvin had followed the humans, curious about their strange methods. What they had just witnessed was impossible. The moss serpent was a killing machine. It did not share food. It did not spare prey, but it had spared these two weak, fragile humans. Because they understood something that warriors did not. They understood how to become part of a world instead of fighting against it. Brix's communicator crackled. Vorsh's team was calling for medical support. They had encountered the same serpent and lost 2 members. The humans had lost nothing. Brix made a decision. They sent a message to Instructor Gorvas. The humans have domesticated the moss serpent. I witnessed it personally. The response came 30 seconds later. Just 2 words. That is impossible. Brix looked down at the humans, calmly cooking their dinner, surrounded by the deadliest creatures on the planet. Yes, Brix said quietly. It should be. Brix found them at dawn, sitting beside a sleeping moss serpent like it was a house pet. The young Torvin had tracked them through the night, stepping carefully over toxic pools and ducking past creatures that would have killed most soldiers. But the closer Brix got to the humans, the safer things became. The predators avoided this area. The acid rain fell lighter here. Even the air smelled cleaner. How? Brix asked, standing at the edge of their camp. How did you do this? Dara looked up from her cooking pot. Do what? All of this. Brix gestured at the serpent, at the peaceful clearing, at the complete absence of death. My team has lost 4 members. Vorsh's team nearly died yesterday. You two have not even been injured. How? Would you like some breakfast? Dara held up a bowl. I made porridge from processed fungus and grub protein. It is actually quite good. Brix stared at the bowl like it was a live grenade. You want me to eat Deathworld creatures? I want you to understand them. Eating is just the fastest way. She smiled. Sit down. I will explain. Brix sat. They took the bowl with trembling claws and watched as Dara began her morning routine. She was checking samples, testing chemical levels, making notes in her small book. Finn was nearby, listening to the sounds of the forest and translating them into movement patterns. 3 creatures approaching from the north, he reported. Small ones. Scavengers. They are curious, but not aggressive. Good. They can have the scraps. Dara turned back to Brix. The galaxy teaches you that survival means being the strongest. Kill or be killed. Eat or be eaten. Yes, that is the natural order. On some worlds, perhaps. But Earth taught us something different. We were never the strongest. We were not the fastest. Our claws were dull. Our teeth were small. Our senses were weak. Everything on our planet could kill us. Then how did you survive? We learned. Dara tapped her head. We watched. We tested. We failed and tried again. When we found something poisonous, we did not just avoid it. We asked, why is it poisonous? Can we remove the poison? Can we use the poison for something else? Over thousands of years, we turned enemies into food, predators into allies, poisons into medicines. Brix took a small bite of the porridge. It tasted strange, but not unpleasant. Their stomach did not immediately reject it. You're saying humans survive by understanding things instead of fighting them. I am saying we survive by becoming part of our world instead of trying to conquer it. Every ecosystem has rules. Learn the rules, and you do not need to fight. Their communicator crackled. Instructor Gorvaz's voice cut through the morning air. All teams report to the Rot Valleys. Final challenge of Phase 1. Teams that do not complete this challenge will be eliminated from the program. The Rot Valleys. Brix felt their stomach turn. The Rot Valleys were home to a sentient fungal network, a hive-mind organism that consumed anything organic. It did not think like animals. It did not respond to threats. It simply dissolved whatever entered its territory. That is a death sentence, Brix said. The fungi cannot be killed. Weapons do nothing. Armor fails. No one survives the Rot Valleys. Interesting, Dara said. A creature that cannot be killed by force. I wonder what else can reach it. The Rot Valleys lived up to their name. The landscape was a sea of gray-white fungus that stretched to the horizon. Strange towers of organic matter rose from the surface, pulsing with alien life. The air was thick with spores that made breathing painful even through filters that Vorsh's team was already there, firing plasma weapons at the fungal mass. The fire did nothing. The fungi simply regrew faster than they could burn. Retreat. Vorsh roared. Fall back. But there was nowhere to retreat. The fungi were everywhere, growing over their boots, climbing their legs, beginning the slow process of digestion. Dara walked past them into the fungal sea. Human, what are you doing? Vorsh grabbed her arm. You will be dissolved. Perhaps. She gently removed his hand. But I want to test something first. She collected samples as she walked, moving deeper into the valley while Finn followed, tracking patterns in the fungal movements. The spores swirled around them, but did not attack. The growth climbed toward them, but stopped short. The fungi communicate through chemical signals, Finn said, reading his tablet. It is a language. Incredibly complex, but it is definitely language. Then we can speak to it. Dara set up her cooking station right in the middle of the fungal plain. Help me process these samples. I want to see if different preparations create different chemical messages. They worked for hours while Vorsh's team watched from a safe distance. Dara cooked spores in dozens of different ways. Boiled, fried, dried, fermented. Each method produced different chemical compounds. Each compound caused different reactions in the surrounding fungi. This one, Dara said finally, holding up a small ball of processed spores. When I prepare it this way, the fungi around us relax. They stop treating us as food. What does that preparation say in their language? I'm not sure, but I think it means something like, not food, ally. She placed the processed sample on the ground. The fungi touched it, absorbed it, analyzed it. Then something remarkable happened. The fungal network shifted. It stopped trying to consume them. Instead, it began bringing them things. Nutrients, water, resources it had collected from other victims. The hive mind was feeding them. Impossible, Brix whispered. Not impossible, just different. Dara picked up the offerings carefully. We told it we were not food. It decided we were useful instead. Vorsh stumbled over, covered in burn marks from the fungal acid. His team looked destroyed. 2 more had been lost trying to fight their way out. How? He demanded. How did you survive? Dara looked at him calmly. You try to fight dinner. I try to understand it. Vorsh had no response. Behind him, Instructor Gorvas watched through a surveillance drone, his face unreadable. The humans had done it again. They had turned an unkillable enemy into an ally using nothing but patience and cooking equipment. Brick stepped forward. I want to learn. Whatever you are doing, I want to learn it. Dara smiled and handed them a bowl of processed fungus. Lesson 1, she said. Everything is food if you prepare it correctly. Gorvas had trained soldiers for 60 years. He had watched thousands die on Deathworlds. He had broken the strongest warriors the galaxy had ever produced. He had never, in all that time, felt embarrassed. Until now. The report sat on his desk like accusations. The human female had survived every challenge. She had befriended a moss serpent. She had communicated with a sentient fungal network. She had turned the deadliest ecosystems in known space into buffet restaurants. And she had done it all with cooking equipment. His superiors were asking questions. Other instructors were making jokes. Vorsh, his star pupil, had requested permission to study the humans' methods. The entire program was becoming a laughingstock because 2 weaklings refused to die properly. There was only one solution. The ancient protocol. The instructor's challenge that he called the humans to his office. They arrived looking exactly as they had on day 1. The female, calm and curious. The male, nervous but controlled. Neither of them looked like they had spent weeks on Deathworlds. Neither of them looked afraid. You have survived longer than expected, Gorvas said. I am impressed. Thank you, Dara replied. Your Deathworlds have excellent cuisine. Gorvas felt his eye twitch. I am invoking the instructor's challenge. Do you know what this means? I do not. It means I will personally hunt you on the final exam world. Verdant 9. A jungle death trap where I have killed hundreds of trainees. If you survive until dawn, you pass the program. If not, you let the threat hang in the air. And if we refuse, you fail. You're sent home in disgrace. Your species is marked as unfit for coalition service. Finn looked like he might faint. Dara looked thoughtful. Verdant 9, she said. That is the world with carnivorous plants and the thornback predators. Yes? You have studied. I like to know what I am eating. Gorvas bared his teeth. You will not be eating anything on Verdant 9. I know that world better than I know my own scales. Every path, every creature, every danger. You will not last an hour. Dara smiled. Then we should pack warm clothes. Jungles get cold at night. Verdant 9 was beautiful in the way that venomous snakes are beautiful. Bright colors everywhere, warning of death. The trees moved on their own, reaching for warm bodies with thorn branches. The flowers sprayed toxic pollen that could blind or paralyze. The insects were the size of dogs and twice as aggressive, and somewhere in all of that, Gorvas was hunting them. Finn crouched beside Dara in a hollow beneath a fallen tree. His tablet showed the movements of predators around them. His fear, for once, had settled into a cold focus. He is circling to the east, Finn whispered. The local creatures are fleeing from him. He is not being subtle. He does not need to be subtle. He knows this world. Dara was examining a small berry she had found. But knowing is not the same as understanding. What is the difference? He knows which creatures are dangerous. I want to know why. She crushed the berry between her fingers. These grow everywhere on the planet. Most creatures ignore them. But the thornbacks, the apex predators, they avoid these completely. Why? Perhaps they taste bad. Perhaps. Or perhaps. She thought for a moment. Finn, what do you know about allergies? Allergies? That is when the body overreacts to something harmless. It treats a safe substance as a threat and attacks itself. Exactly. And if the most dangerous predator on this planet avoids a common berry that everything else ignores, it might be allergic. It might be very allergic. They spent the next hour collecting berries while Gorvas closed in around them. Dara processed them into a thick paste, testing its chemical properties, making adjustments. When she was satisfied, she covered herself and Finn in the mixture. "We smell terrible," Finn said. "We smell like something a thornback would never eat. And if we smell wrong to them, they will not see us as prey. They will see us as environment." Gorvas found them at midnight, that he emerged from the jungle like a ghost, silent and deadly. His scales blended with the shadows. His claws gleamed with anticipation. He had tracked them for hours, enjoying the hunt, savoring the moment when he would finally end these embarrassing humans. They were sitting in a clearing. Not hiding, not running, just sitting there beside something massive and dark. Gorvas froze out a thornback, the apex predator of Verdant. 15 feet of armored muscle and razor teeth. It could kill a Krell warrior in seconds. It had killed many, and it was sleeping 3 feet from the humans. "Good evening, Instructor," Dara said calmly. "Would you like some tea? I made it from the local flowers." Very relaxing. Gorvas did not answer. His mind was racing. The thornback should have killed them immediately. It should have smelled their fear, sensed their warmth, torn them apart. Instead, it was sleeping peacefully like they were not even there. "How?" he whispered. "We asked the jungle what it was afraid of," Dara replied. "Then we became that thing." The thornback opened its eyes. It saw Gorvas. It saw a Krell warrior, a predator, a threat to its territory that IT charged. Gorvas ran. He had no choice. 60 years of experience told him that standing ground against a charging thornback was suicide. He ran faster than he had ever run in his life, crashing through the jungle while the monster pursued. Behind him, he heard Dara's voice calling out, "Do not hurt it. It is just scared of you." Gorvas did not stop running until dawn. When the sun rose, he was 3 miles from the clearing, exhausted, humiliated, and alive only because the thornback had eventually lost interest. He had failed. For the first time in 60 years, he had failed to kill his targets. The humans had not fought him. They had not fled from him. They had simply made the jungle fight for them. That he limped back toward the extraction point, already knowing what he would have to do next. He would have to admit they had won. 19 survivors stood in the graduation hall of Training Station Omega-7. They had entered as 42. They had been broken, tested, and rebuilt by the deadliest worlds the galaxy had to offer. The weak had been eliminated. The strong remained. And somehow, impossibly, the 2 weakest recruits stood among them. Dara Okonkwo looked exactly as she had on day 1. Calm, curious, holding her small notebook full of recipes for death. Beside her, Finn Halloran stood straighter than before. The fear had not left his eyes, but it had been joined by something else. Confidence, understanding. Instructor Gorvas walked to the podium. His scales had new scars from his night fleeing through Verdant. He had not spoken about what happened. He did not need to. Everyone knew. "You have completed the Deathworld survival program," he said, his voice flat. "You have proven yourselves capable of surviving the worst environments in known space. You are now qualified for deployment on Coalition frontier worlds." He paused. The next words seemed to cause him physical pain. "All 19 of you, including the humans." War stepped forward. "Instructor." The humans did not complete any challenge through combat. They did not defeat any predator. They did not fight at all. How can they be considered survivors? Because they survived. Gorvas turned to face the massive Krell warrior. The program does not require combat. It requires survival. They survived everything we threw at them. By the rules of this program, they have passed. But their methods worked. Yours did not. You lost 4 team members. They lost 0. Gorvas's voice was bitter. That is the end of the discussion. The ceremony continued, but the tension in the room was thick. Half the graduates were staring at the humans with confusion. The other half were staring with something like fear. After the ceremony, an ancient being approached Dara. Admiral Yes-6 was from a species of strategists, creatures who had lived for thousands of years and seen empires rise and fall. Their body was like flowing water made solid, constantly shifting and reforming. You are the human who eats death worlds, Yes Six said. I prefer to think of it as understanding them. Eating is just how I communicate. A interesting perspective. Yes Six gestured toward a private room. Walk with me. I have questions. The room was simple. 2 chairs, 1 table, nothing else. Yes Six settled into a shape that suggested sitting, though their body did not truly need the chair. The Coalition has been fighting a war for 300 years, Yes Six began. An enemy that adapts to everything we throw at it. Every weapon we develop, they counter within months. Every strategy we try, they learn and overcome. We are losing, slowly but certainly. What kind of enemy? A collective species, like your fungi friend in the Rot Valleys, but larger, spread across 1,000 worlds. It does not think like us. It does not respond to threats. It simply adapts and expands. Dara nodded slowly. You have been trying to kill it. Of course. It is an enemy. What else will we do? Have you tried understanding it? Yes Six was silent for a long moment. Understanding an enemy that exists only to consume. The moss serpent exists only to consume. The fungal network exists only to consume. Every predator we met existed only to consume. And yet, with the right approach, we turn them into allies. Dara leaned forward. What if your enemy is not evil? What if it is just hungry? What if it is doing what evolution designed it to do, and no one has ever asked what it actually needs? That is a very human question. Humans ask questions. It is what we do. When something is trying to kill us, we ask why. When something is poison, we ask how to make it safe. When something is impossible, we ask what we are missing. Yes Six reformed themselves into something like a smile. I came here to offer you a position. A soldier's role. A place in our military structure. But now I think I was asking the wrong question. What is the right question? The Coalition does not need more soldiers. We have millions of soldiers. What we need is someone who can teach us to see differently. Someone who can show us how to survive by understanding instead of conquering. Yes Six paused. I want you to create a new program. A new way of training. Not warriors. Integrators. Dara thought about this for a moment. I would need Finn. His pattern recognition and translation skills are essential. Done. And I would need students. Real students, not warriors pretending to learn. You will have them. Yes Six rose. The first class will include bricks. They have requested assignment to your team personally. And another pause, as if the next word were difficult. Instructor Gorvas has also requested to join. Dara blinked. Gorvas? The one who tried to kill us. The one who failed to kill you. He is old enough to recognize when his methods no longer work. He wants to learn new ones. The graduation celebration was loud and chaotic. Warriors from a dozen species drank and fought and bragged about their kills. In the corner, a small group sat quietly. Dura, Fiend, Bricks, and surprisingly, Gorvas. I do not understand how you did it. Gorvas admitted, his voice low. I have killed thousands on Verdant 9. You walked through it like a garden. It is a garden, Dara replied. Just one with very aggressive vegetables. Fiend left. Bricks made a sound that might have been a laugh. Gorvas looked uncomfortable. Will you really teach us? Your methods? I will try. But understand, this is not about tricks or techniques. It is about changing how you see the universe. Everything is connected. Everything has a role. When you understand the role, you understand how to survive. Gorvas nodded slowly. And when you cannot understand? Dara smiled and held up her small cooking pot. Then you experiment until you do. And hopefully, what does not kill you, you can eat for dinner. The next morning, she stood before her first class. 20 aliens of various species, all looking at her with a mixture of curiosity and doubt. Finn stood beside her, ready to translate. Bricks sat in the front row, eager to learn. Gorvas sat in the back, humbled but attentive. Dara held up a small creature, squirming and dangerous, collected from a death world. This will kill you in 30 seconds if you try to fight it, she said. But if you prepare it correctly, she took a bite. It tastes like chicken. The class stared in horror and wonder. Finn leaned over and whispered, Please tell them what chicken is. Dara smiled. Lesson 2, she said. Let me tell you about a small bird that changed the course of human history.